Hi everyone, welcome to Yoga LJ. My name is LJ and today I'll be talking to you about Urdhva Hastasana. Urdhva Hastasana is the first Vinyasa of the Ashtanga primary series. And Urdhva means upward, Hasta means hand, so upward hands is what it means in Sanskrit. I will demonstrate what it looks like, just basically. We be starting in Samastitihi, and inhale the arms straight wide up over the head, gazing to the thumbs. And from here, we'd exhale the arms wide, coming down for the next Vinyasa. So to go in more detail for Urdhva Hastasana, this pose does start with the inhalation. The inhalation helps to carry the arms up over the head. And all the poses in the series, upward movements and lifting poses, are initiated by inhalation because that gives us length in the body. And this pose absolutely lengthens the front and the back of the body. It's a beautiful long stretch. So we start in Samastitihi, and anywhere from the low ribs down, we don't change the internal cues. So the low ribs stay drawn in and down. Even as we lift our arms up, it's natural for low ribs to want to come up, but we do want to maintain a softening of the low ribs to keep pulling down. The core is engaged, neutral pelvis, quadriceps are engaged, kneecaps lifted, and the four corners of the feet are pressing evenly down into the earth. It's important to press the feet down because as we lift the arms up, that's what gives us the activation of energy in the body. So the next cue, we turn the palms open to the front and we bring the arms straight out wide by the sides. A couple reasons for this. For one, we're using our full range of motion of the shoulder, and this also helps promote the lymphatic drainage under the armpits where the lymph nodes are. So as we lift our arms up, to find straight arms, we want to activate the triceps, which help to straighten the elbow. Now there's a tendency when we lift our arms up over the head, the trapezius muscles are going to pull the shoulders up. And that's normal, that's what they do. Trapezius are going to come up with the shoulders, and it's going to compress the neck and side of the ears. We don't want this to happen. So to counteract the trapezius muscle, we need to engage the latissimus dorsi. Latissimus dorsi are the muscles at the side of the low back. So by engaging those muscles, it will help to pull the trapezius down so that when we lift the arms up, the shoulders don't come in the way, the trapezius don't come in the way of the neck lengthening in line with the rest of the spine. The initiation of the movement is the top of the humerus bone and the scapula. This is where the movement starts, the origin of movement. So we want to keep our awareness there as we lift our arms up. And then when we have our hands up over the head, we press the palms together. And the pressing of the palms activates energy up the arms. So we're pulling the hands forward and up towards the sky. At the same time, we're pulling the triceps back down towards the shoulder. And so this brings energy into the body. So I mentioned before with the Samastitihi pose that we work with opposition in yoga. It's a constant. So we're moving the body in one direction and then we're counteracting that by pulling other muscles in an opposite direction. And that's what gives us length and awareness in the body. And we're trying to find that place of center and of peace and joy, which is in that stillness in the center part of each pose. So by pressing the hands together, activates the arms. And the drishti, which is the gaze in Sanskrit, is to the thumbs. Every pose has a drishti, which helps to focus the mind. And so our attention is on the thumbs and our mind is not thinking about other things. So that is Urdhva Hastasana. And this can be challenging for some people in the beginning. For one, if you have tight trapezius muscles, it is hard to lower them. When you lift your arms up, you're going to tend to compress your neck. So in a modification to that is to lift your arms up shoulder height. And that gives more space for your neck and your shoulders. If that's still challenging, because it might be, you can bring your feet hip width and then bring your arms up in the V position. And this pose actually, I like this because it makes all the internal actions for Samasthitihi and Urdhva Hastasana very accessible. We become more aware of them. And that's what we want. When we find that heightened awareness of the internal action, then we take that in the more difficult versions with the feet together. Now, another way to find Urdhva Hastasana, you may have guessed by now, is by using a block. I have used blocks and straps throughout the 17 years of practice numerous times. It does help gain help with poses when you're learning them and find awareness in poses. So when I do my Ashtanga primary series, I don't tend to use props, I just do my series. But when I do functional movement or if I'm working on something specific, I find that props are helpful. So the way to use the block is, the first way is to bring the block lengthwise and the palms pressing. Don't grip with your hands because if you're gripping, you're kind of cheating. It's much harder to just press your hand flat into the block, and this forces you to find that activation of the arms. So from here with straight arms, we would lift the block up and gazing up from here. This also helps to find your core more because it is hard to maintain your core when you lift your arms up. Your lower ribs do want to lift. So I do find the block helps you to find the awareness of the core actions. Now, once that becomes accessible, the next version is to bring the block more narrow, pressing your hands into it this way. And that becomes a little more challenging to find the actions. So I hope that you enjoy your Urdhva Hastasana and that you find your internal awareness with this pose. Please join me for the next Vinyasa. Next week, I'll be posting Uttanasana, which is the forward fold next pose after this one. Namaste, everyone. Thank you.